Once seen as a golden ticket to the world, a U.S. passport no longer guarantees a warm welcome. In 2025, more countries are stepping up deportations of American travelers, not just for serious offenses, but for smaller infractions that were once overlooked. From overstaying a tourist visa to engaging in behavior viewed as culturally insensitive, even minor mistakes can now lead to expulsion. What's behind this rising trend? Stricter immigration laws, growing nationalist attitudes, and a pushback against Western influence are all part of the equation. For many Americans abroad, the rules have quietly shifted, and they're finding themselves on the wrong side of the border more often. In this video, we'll reveal the top 10 countries that are increasingly deporting U.S. citizens, and the reasons behind it might surprise you. From bureaucratic slip-ups to political friction, the line between welcome guest and legal liability is growing razor-thin. Planning to live or travel abroad? Stay tuned, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more real-world updates. Number 1. Russia. Russia has emerged as one of the most challenging destinations for American citizens. Amid rising political hostility between Washington and Moscow, U.S. nationals are increasingly being treated with suspicion. What once were routine visits are now becoming complex legal entanglements. Deportations are on the rise, often based on vague allegations such as national security concerns or visa irregularities. In many cases, Americans have been accused of engaging in political activities, even something as simple as attending a local rally or discussing politics in public. The Russian government is known to classify foreigners who engage in what it deems anti-state behavior as threats. Journalists, students, aid workers, and even tourists have been stopped, interrogated, and deported, sometimes with no clear reason provided. Being labeled persona non grata in Russia doesn't just mean expulsion, it often comes with a permanent ban on re-entry. For business travelers, the stakes are also high. Americans have been deported for allegedly breaching business laws or failing to comply with obscure bureaucratic rules. In today's Russia, even small missteps are treated as violations, making it a high-risk zone for U.S. passport holders. Number 2. India. India is not typically seen as hostile to Americans, but policy changes in recent years have made it more complicated for foreigners to stay in the country. Increased digital monitoring and stricter visa enforcement have led to a surge in deportations, particularly among long-term visitors and volunteers. A common scenario involves Americans arriving on tourist visas but engaging in unpaid work, charity efforts, or spiritual programs, activities now closely monitored by Indian immigration. Another flashpoint is religious activity. Proselytizing or even attending faith-based gatherings can result in deportation if authorities interpret it as a violation of visa terms. U.S. citizens have been detained and expelled for distributing religious literature or speaking publicly about their beliefs. India also enforces strict rules on visa renewals and mandatory registration with the Foreigners Regional Registration Office, FRO. Failing to complete bureaucratic formalities, even due to ignorance, can result in immediate deportation. With nationalism on the rise and foreign influence under scrutiny, India is increasingly less forgiving of violations, even unintentional ones. Number 3. Indonesia. Indonesia, especially Bali, has become a popular destination for American digital nomads, but the welcome mat is quickly being rolled up. Immigration authorities are cracking down on foreigners who blur the lines between tourism and work. Americans working remotely while on tourist visas are now facing fines, detentions, and deportation. The country is taking a strong stance on cultural respect and visa integrity, with Bali's government explicitly warning foreigners that misbehavior will not be tolerated. Social media has become a powerful enforcement tool. Foreigners posting about their work, promoting businesses, or engaging in conduct that disrespects local customs are being flagged. Dress code violations in religious areas, traffic infractions, or even insensitive TikTok videos have led to deportations. Authorities regularly monitor public profiles and compare them with visa records to catch inconsistencies. In this new environment, being careless on Instagram could land you in an immigration detention center. The message from Indonesia is clear: follow the rules, or you'll be sent home, quickly and publicly. Number 4. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia offers lucrative job opportunities for Americans, particularly in oil, education, and engineering sectors. However, the kingdom enforces some of the strictest cultural and legal codes in the world. American citizens have found themselves deported for offenses ranging from minor social infractions to serious legal disputes. Actions that might seem trivial in the US, such as public displays of affection, alcohol consumption, or even tweeting a critical comment, can trigger severe penalties, including deportation. The Saudization policy has also changed the landscape for foreigners. With a focus on prioritizing local workers, many Americans have had their contracts terminated and were subsequently forced to leave the country. Deportation can occur without court proceedings if a sponsor or employer files a complaint. Number 5. Mexico. Mexico has long been a top choice for American retirees, freelancers, and remote workers due to its affordability and proximity to the US. However, the immigration tide is turning. Tourist visa abuse, especially the common practice of border runs to reset visa durations, is no longer tolerated. Americans found living in Mexico long-term without proper residency are now being denied entry or deported during routine inspections. Increased enforcement is targeting more than just visa infractions. Americans who fail to report income, violate property laws, or contribute to gentrification pressures have drawn the attention of authorities. Some have been expelled for promoting their lifestyle online without acknowledging their lack of legal status. Others have been reported by neighbors for disruptive behavior. Mexico's new nationalistic approach emphasizes respect for its laws and communities, and Americans who assume special treatment are in for a rude awakening. Deportations are becoming more public, more frequent, and more severe. The message is simple: either integrate legally or expect to leave. Number 6. China. China has tightened its control over foreign visitors in recent years, and Americans are now facing growing scrutiny. Political tensions between Washington and Beijing have led to more aggressive enforcement of visa conditions and national security laws. Americans living, studying, or working in China have reported sudden interrogations, phone confiscations, and even deportation without clear explanation. Several journalists and researchers have been denied visa renewals and expelled for endangering state security, a vague term that covers everything from social media comments to interactions with local dissidents. China's surveillance state gives authorities deep access to a foreigner's digital life. Americans can be flagged for past statements, associations, or even visits to politically sensitive areas like Xinjiang or Tibet. Even something as simple as joining a local group or talking politics in public can be interpreted as an attempt to interfere in domestic affairs. China's message is firm: no tolerance for perceived meddling, even if it's unintentional. Deportation is often swift, with no legal recourse. For Americans in China, even quiet curiosity can become a dangerous liability. Number 7. Turkey. Once seen as a vibrant bridge between East and West, Turkey is becoming an increasingly risky destination for Americans. Following several years of political crackdowns and instability, President Erdogan's government has grown wary of foreigners, especially those from countries perceived as critical of its policies. Americans have been deported for attending protests, writing critical blog posts, or even being loosely connected to Kurdish organizations, which Turkey classifies as terrorist groups. The situation is especially tense for journalists, human rights workers, and academics. Visa applications are more thoroughly vetted, and those already in the country can be deported if their work is deemed undermining public order. Even tourists have faced detention for sharing political content online. In a country where social media is heavily monitored and dissent is criminalized, Americans who aren't extremely cautious can find themselves detained or put on a flight back home. Turkey may still be open for travel, but the welcome mat for US citizens has definitely shrunk. Number 8. Philippines. Despite its historic military alliance and cultural ties with the US, the Philippines has become increasingly strict about enforcing immigration rules. Overstaying visas, working without proper permits, or engaging in political activities can lead to deportation. American retirees and digital workers have been caught in sweeps that were once rare but are now becoming routine. The country's Immigration Bureau has increased raids and spot checks, particularly in tourist-heavy zones like Cebu and Manila. Political activism is another sensitive issue. Several Americans have been deported for participating in protests or attending left-leaning forums, with authorities citing national security concerns. The Philippines' alliance with the U.S. doesn't guarantee special treatment. Americans are treated like any other foreigner when it comes to law enforcement. The country's immigration crackdown is aimed at reasserting sovereignty and protecting jobs for locals. As a result, Americans without clean paperwork, clear purpose, or cultural sensitivity may find themselves on the next outbound flight. Number 9. United Arab Emirates. The UAE, especially Dubai, is often seen as a luxurious and liberal haven, but the rules are strict and deportation is a constant threat. Americans have been expelled for what might seem like minor infractions, cursing in public, posting inappropriate photos online, or arguing with officials. The UAE's legal system is based on a mix of civil and Sharia law, and violations of local norms, even unintentional, can lead to arrest and deportation. The country's zero-tolerance approach applies to everyone, no matter their passport. Many Americans are also getting caught in business disputes or employment contract violations. If an employer reports a foreign worker for misconduct, visa cancellation and deportation can be immediate. Even unpaid debts can lead to travel bans or expulsion. Cultural insensitivity is another major flashpoint. Public intoxication, PDA, and social media jokes that mock Emirati customs have all resulted in Americans being removed from the country. In the UAE, ignorance isn't just frowned upon, it's punishable. Tourists and workers alike are finding that crossing even one line can be the end of their stay. Number 10. Thailand. Thailand, often seen as the backpacker's paradise, has taken a turn towards stricter immigration control. Visa runs, once a popular loophole, are now tightly monitored. Americans trying to stay long-term without proper permits are being stopped at the border or deported outright. Overstaying, even by a few days, can result in blacklisting. The Thai government is pushing back against the perception that it's an easy place to disappear into. With heightened scrutiny and stronger collaboration with airlines and embassies, Americans can't rely on lax enforcement anymore. Misbehavior is also a growing cause for deportation. Several Americans have been expelled for disrespecting the monarchy, an offense taken very seriously under Thailand's lèse-majesté laws. Others have been booted for drunken fights, drug use, or insulting locals online. Social media behavior has become a key factor. One offensive tweet or Instagram video can be all it takes for authorities to revoke your visa and escort you to the airport. Thailand may still be a top destination, but it's no longer a place where Americans can take the rules lightly. The reality for Americans living or traveling abroad is changing fast. With rising global tensions, stricter immigration rules, and zero-tolerance policies, even unintentional mistakes can get you deported. If you're heading overseas, research local laws, respect cultural norms, and don't assume your passport offers immunity. For more updates like this, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and stay aware, because one wrong move can send you packing.